Hi, this is Kip Puterbaugh from the Aviara Golf Academy. What I want to do is review some changes that I've made with a student that plays on Japanese LPGA. This is Jihee Lee, who is originally from Korea, but she's been playing on the Japanese LPGA for about the last 12 years. And through her first 8 or 9 years on playing on the Japanese LPGA, she had won 17 times, so she was obviously a very accomplished player on that tour. At the end of that 8 or 9 year period, she ran into a rough patch and she played very poorly for the next 2.5 years. And she came looking for a lesson with me at the end of 2014. And the swing on the left is what she was doing when she first showed up. And I've drawn this red line up off of her where her right hip is located, basically at the address position. And on the right side is her current swing after we just worked in the wintertime of 2015-16. So we'll just take a look at what she was doing when she first started. Now, from this camera angle, you really can't tell weight distribution, but her weight was back on her heels. And that generally makes people tend to lean a little bit back with their hips to the right side. When their hips get open, they don't want to put their weight on their left side correctly, so it feels awkward. So generally speaking, when someone's back on the heels, the hips are a little bit open at address, which is where she started. From that position, when we watch her go into the backswing, we'll see that she gets a little bit of a lateral bump over, which is okay to have a little bit of a start, but then it's what you do with it. And she just basically kind of stays in that position. So at the top of her backswing, her hip is exactly where it was at the start, which is okay, but she really hasn't rotated her shoulders and created enough coil. So what we're going to do is now pop over to her new one, and we can see that her legs look more centered at address, and that's because her weight is back on the balls of her feet, which allows her spine angle at address to lean just a hair to the right, which is a proper position to start with. Now we'll see a little bit of the same thing going back. She'll have a little bit of a movement to the right as she starts, just a little, so we'll pump, and she goes a little bit upwards and to her right. And then we'll start to see that she continues the shoulder rotation over, and as she's continuing over, her hips start to go internally right there. So as the hips are going through the transitional movement, they're actually working internally. This is a motion we find in basically every top player that's ever played. As a result, when she's hitting this 6-iron, you can see that her head is a little bit more behind the ball. And one of the common threads that we tend to see amongst the best players at the top of the backswing is that the nose, the left shoulder, the right hip is all lined up inside the right foot. Now, if this is with a 6-iron, she would do this on a driver. She's just not quite as far back. But you can see the difference with the one on the left, where her nose and left shoulder are much more to the middle of her body, and she's not in a position of dynamics to use her legs. So as a result of not having that little inward or internal rotation of the hips as she gets to the top, she has to push her weight forward as she starts down. This gives all kinds of problems. If you push too far forward, you've got so much weight over there, you're to stall and you can't clear. Plus the fact that she had been working on getting an open club face and trying to restrict her hips going back. So as a result, she's got a little bit of an open club. Her hips have gone so far forward, she has to basically stop and flip. Okay? And she's pretty good at it. So she stops and flips, but as you see in the flip, there isn't a whole lot of energy going into her finish. She kind of slows down. And we'll see that when we play it back at regular speed later on. Now with the current form of Jihee, we can see that because of that slight inward rotation, what that does is already puts the weight going to the left side. She doesn't have to jut it forward. She can actually start to rotate. And as she's starting to rotate, her weight still is moving towards her left, but she's not going to stall. She can keep her hips turning. And as a result, her hands are way more forward of the club as she comes into impact. We can just go back and look at what she's doing here, where she has, the club is already starting to catch right there. Her hands are much more forward of the one on the right. So as she gets to impact, she throws the face in, flips. Here we don't really see that throw of the face in, and the face is much more stable. As she goes through, you can see it's a wider more energetic follow-through. One of the other byproducts that you can see when someone's got a little more energy, I want you to notice where her weight is at the end of her swing. It's gone all the way around to the outside of her left heel. This is a sign that she's kept her energy going and her rotation going. Here's the current one. She just basically hasn't rotated with that much energy, and her weight is kind of more centered to her foot. It hasn't gone all the way around into her heel. So what I want to do from here is I want to play a couple of their swings playing in regular speed, and we'll take a look and see what we see dynamically. So first we'll look at the prior swing. You can see what I mean about how there's really no energy going through the ball. So as a result, she wasn't hitting the ball very far, but because of the early cast movement at the bottom, she's hitting a lot of shots thin and fat. So that's the original Jihee. And now here's the new version. You can see it's a lot more dynamic. As a result of these changes, she has won twice last year. She lost in a playoff at the end of the year on her third tournament, and I really expect great things to come out of her this year. She's really playing better, and she gained about 20 yards in distance. So I hope you enjoyed this review, and come out and take a look at the rest of our website.